Five teens walked into detention one Saturday morning and ended up creating one of the most iconic films of the 80s. But did you know that John Hughes almost cast completely different actors for these roles? Or that Molly Ringwald was originally considered for a totally different character? From behind-the-scenes drama to shocking secrets the cast still talks about today, these 17 strange facts will make you see The Breakfast Club in a way you've never imagined. 1. Molly Ringwald was almost cast as Allison. Many fans can't imagine Molly Ringwald as anyone other than Claire, the spoiled princess. But originally, director John Hughes wanted her to play Allison, the quiet and strange basket case. Ringwald herself fought for the role of Claire, believing it was a better fit for her personality. Eventually, Hughes gave in, and the rest is history. Imagine how different the movie would feel if Ringwald had played Allison instead of Claire. This casting switch shows how even small decisions can completely change the tone of a film. 2. Emilio Estevez was supposed to be Bender. Originally, Emilio Estevez auditioned for the role of Bender, the rebellious bad boy. But when casting struggled to find someone right for Andrew, the wrestler, Hughes decided Estevez was a better fit. The role of Bender eventually went to Jud Nelson, whose intensity made the character iconic. It's wild to think about. Estevez as the rebel and Nelson as the jock. The chemistry of the group might have been completely different if casting hadn't changed their minds at the last moment. 3. Jud Nelson stayed in character off-camera. During filming, Jud Nelson took method acting to the extreme. He stayed in character as Bender, even off-camera, constantly taunting his co-stars. At one point, he even insulted Molly Ringwald so much that director John Hughes considered firing him. But Nelson's edgy behavior ended up making Bender feel more authentic. Without that raw energy, the film might not have had the same lasting impact. This strange fact shows how sometimes difficult behavior on set can lead to unforgettable performances. 4. The library was completely fake. The entire story of The Breakfast Club takes place inside a high school library. But here's the twist. The library wasn't real. The crew couldn't find a suitable space, so they built a fake library inside a high school gymnasium. The set was massive, with functioning bookshelves and furniture to make it believable. Fans often assume it's a real school library, but in truth, it was just a carefully constructed set. This detail proves how Hollywood magic can transform an empty gym into an iconic movie location. 5. Anthony Michael Hall's mother appears in the film. In the movie's opening and closing scenes, we briefly see the parents of the students. What many fans don't know is that Anthony Michael Hall's real mother and sister played his family in the film. This added a layer of authenticity to Brian's character, since his mom was actually his real-life mom. It's a fun Easter egg that casual viewers often miss. Having Hall's family involved gave his role as the brainy kid just a little more realism. And now once you know it, you'll never unsee it. 6. John Hughes wrote the script in just 2 days. Believe it or not, John Hughes wrote the first draft of The Breakfast Club in just 2 days. Known for his fast writing style, Hughes captured the voices of teenagers with incredible speed. What's even stranger is that the script barely changed from his original draft. Most Hollywood films go through endless rewrites, but The Breakfast Club stayed true to Hughes's initial vision. This lightning-fast process shows just how clear his idea was and how perfectly he understood teenage struggles. 7. Ali Sheedy's dandruff scene was fake. One of the strangest moments in the film is when Allison, played by Ali Sheedy, shakes her hair and dandruff falls onto her drawing. But it wasn't real dandruff, it was Parmesan cheese. The creative solution gave the scene its odd, unforgettable vibe without grossing out the audience. Sheedy's character is full of eccentric quirks, and this little detail perfectly captured her strangeness. Next time you watch that scene, you'll know the flakes were actually something you'd sprinkle on pasta. 8. Jud Nelson was much older than his character. While the characters were supposed to be high school students, Jud Nelson was actually 25 years old during filming. Compared to his co-stars, he was noticeably older, and some crew members worried it would stand out. But Nelson's mature look and intense acting made Bender feel more intimidating, which worked in the movie's favor. Hollywood often casts older actors to play teens, but Nelson's age gave his performance an extra layer of toughness that helped define Bender as the ultimate rebel. One of the most memorable parts of The Breakfast Club is the dance sequence in the library. But here's the strange truth. It wasn't in the original script. John Hughes told the cast to just let loose and improvise. Molly Ringwald and Sheedy came up with quirky moves on the spot, while Emilio Estevez's wild solo jump was added later because Hughes wanted his character to stand out. This unplanned moment turned into an iconic scene that perfectly captured the weird energy of being stuck in detention with nothing to do. Number 10. The actors helped write their own lines. John Hughes trusted his young cast so much that he let them improvise dialogue. During rehearsals, he asked each actor to talk about their real high school experiences, and many of those stories were later written into the script. That's why the film feels so raw and authentic. It wasn't just Hughes's voice, but also the real voices of Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, Jud Nelson, and Sheedy. This collaboration blurred the line between acting and reality, making the movie timeless. Number 11. Rick Morannis was almost the janitor. Before John Capellos was cast as Carl the janitor, the role almost went to Rick Morannis, famous for Ghostbusters. But Morannis played the character as a goofy Russian stereotype during rehearsals, and Hughes didn't like it. He wanted Carl to be grounded and wise, not cartoonish. So Morannis was replaced, and Capellos gave us the perfect version of the all-seeing janitor. Imagine how strange it would have been if the janitor was more like a comedian than the voice of truth in the film. Number 12. The movie was almost 3 hours long. The version of The Breakfast Club that fans know runs just 97 minutes, but Hughes's first cut was nearly 3 hours. The extended version included more conversations, character backstories, and even darker themes. Unfortunately, the footage was never released, and Hughes later said he destroyed it. Fans have begged for the lost version for decades, but it remains one of cinema's biggest mysteries. Just imagine how much more depth we could have seen from Molly Ringwald, Jud Nelson, and the others if the full version still existed. Number 13. The iconic ending wasn't planned. The final shot of Bender raising his fist in the air is one of the most legendary endings in movie history. But here's the kicker. Jud Nelson came up with it on the spot. Hughes wanted a simple walk across the football field, but Nelson thought Bender needed a bold exit. So he threw his fist up as the music played, and Hughes loved it so much he kept it. This improvised move turned into a cultural symbol of teenage rebellion and triumph. Number 14. The theme song was written just for the film. Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds became one of the most iconic songs of the 80s. But strangely, the band didn't even want to record it first. The song was written specifically for The Breakfast Club, and several artists turned it down before Simple Minds reluctantly agreed. Ironically, it became their biggest hit. The song is now forever tied to the image of Jud Nelson raising his fist, proof that sometimes what feels like a side project can become legendary. Number 15. Anthony Michael Hall helped define the brain. Brian, the brainy character played by Anthony Michael Hall, felt so real because Hughes based much of him on Anthony Michael Hall's actual personality. In fact, Hall had already worked with Hughes in 16 Candles, and the director tailored Brian's role to match Hall's real-life, awkward but intelligent vibe. Even Brian's nervous mannerisms and shy humor were inspired by Hall himself. That's why Brian feels like the most authentic of the group. He wasn't just a character, he was a reflection of Hall's teenage years. Number 16. The movie had a different working title. Before settling on The Breakfast Club, Hughes considered calling the film The Lunch Bunch. Thankfully, he changed his mind after hearing that Breakfast Club was a nickname students used for detention at a Chicago high school. The phrase sounded cooler, more mysterious, and instantly captured the essence of the movie. Imagine if it had been released as The Lunch Bunch. It probably wouldn't have carried the same cultural impact. Sometimes,
Even the title can make or break a classic film. Number 17. The cast still calls themselves the Brat Pack. After The Breakfast Club, the young stars Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez, Jud Nelson, Sheedy, and Anthony Michael Hall were labeled as part of the Brat Pack, a group of 80s actors who defined teen cinema. While the nickname was originally meant as an insult by the media, the cast embraced it over time. Even today, they're remembered together as a cultural phenomenon. This strange fact shows how one small movie about detention ended up shaping an entire generation of Hollywood.